So welcome everybody to our annual Caregiver Recognition Day. It's so good to see so many familiar faces and also some new ones. I'm Martha Shapiro. I'm the Director of Programs here at Senior Concerns. And I've been working in the field of older adults and family caregivers for 15 plus years now. And I'm just constantly in awe and inspired by all of you and what you do every day for your loved ones. So this is our day to honor you, to thank you for everything that you do. And I love this event. Even over Zoom, it creates such a wonderful sense of community. And I love getting to see everybody together. And I love how many people's cameras are on too. It's really nice to get to see you all. So we are over Zoom this year, but we'll still be interactive. So feel free to type things into the chat, comments or questions. We have so many great speakers with us today, and depending on time, we may or may not have time to answer individual questions, but if we don't, I'll still see the questions and make sure that I get you an answer either during the program or after the program. Now, hopefully a bunch of you have already gotten your wonderful goodie bags, but if you haven't, we still have plenty of them here at Senior Concerns. And so we will hold them here through the end of next week. So you're welcome to come by our Houghton Camp office between 9 and 5 on weekdays and pick up your goodie bag because we really want to pamper you and there's some wonderful treats in there. We've had some fabulous goodie bag sponsors this year. Speaking of sponsors, I want to thank our title sponsors, UCLA Health and Netfin Westlake Mazda Volkswagen, a mouthful, but we're so thankful for them and their sponsorship and really just showing the community how much they value family caregivers like yourself. I also want to thank our steering committee members who helped come up with these topics and put this event on. And that includes Andrea Gallagher, Lloyd Hartley, Kalila Heller, Don Phillipson, Jenica Polikow, Katie Wiltfong, Hannah Hoffman, and Janet Young. They're all on today, and we thank them for everything they've done to help put this together. So today's theme is 6 ways to take a break when you really need one. And this really came from all of us in this community, just hearing from you how you can't take a break, how hard it is sometimes, how much pressure you feel to not take a break. So we decided to put this together to really think outside of the box, kind of redefine what that looks like for you and help you come up with creative ways that you can take a break and get a breather. So we've gathered some fabulous speakers together today, and they're going to each present a different, unique way to take a break. So we're calling this emotional respite, intellectual respite, social respite, physical respite, financial respite, and spiritual respite. But before we dive in, I'd like to highlight a little bit about Senior Concerns. And we recently created a virtual tour since we do so many things over video now. So I'd like to just pause and show you a little virtual tour video of Senior Concerns.
Hi, I'm Andrea Gallagher, President of Senior Concerns, and I'd like to take you on a tour of our Houghton Camp facility today. Right now, we serve about 13,000 seniors and family caregivers from our facility here, as well as offices in the Goble Adult Senior Center, the Simi Senior Center, and the Agora Hills Recreation Center. So come on in. First, I'd like to introduce you to Adriana.
Hi, I'm the office manager and front desk receptionist. I'll likely be the one greeting you when you call or come in. And this is Charla.
I'm the volunteer coordinator. Volunteering is so important for what we do, from the adult day program to Meals on Wheels to volunteering for the many events that we host. We couldn't do what we do without you.
From our facility here, we run an adult day program for folks with cognitive and physical impairment. In addition, we run the Meals on Wheels program in our community. Now, in the past, we used to run it out of our commercial kitchen in the back. However, we've grown so dramatically that our meals are now made at Los Robles Hospital and at Country Harvest Restaurant. And our kitchen is now used for lunch and snacks for our Adult Day program. And now I'd like to introduce you to Bridget.
Hi, I'm Bridget. I'm the Director of Nutrition Services. I'm responsible for all meals here at Senior Concerns. In this past year, we served 85,000 meals to more than 300 seniors in Thousand Oaks, Newberry Park, Westlake Village, Oak Park, and Agora Hills. Assisting me here at Nutrition Services is Lily. She's one of our team members. Lily is involved in all aspects of the Meals on Wheels as well. And we say here at Senior Concerns that we are more than just a meal, as we connect our meal recipients to our Senior Concerns social workers to help them with other challenges that they have. Our Meals on Wheels members that are referred to us, they're referred to us by our volunteer drivers. Our volunteer drivers are very important members of our nutrition services team as they play a dual role. They not only deliver a fresh meal to our meal recipients, they also play a very important role as our eyes and ears on the seniors and helping to defray some of the social isolation felt by many of our homebound seniors.
And now I'd like to introduce Martha Shapiro.
Hello, I'm Martha, and I'm the Director of Programs here at Senior Concerns. We have many different social service programs to help support older adults and family caregivers so that they can thrive in our community. I'd like to introduce you to our senior advocate, Elsa.
Hi, I am a senior advocate. I act as a trusted guide to help seniors navigate the challenges that come with aging. My services are free, and I have office hours here, at Global, at CME, and at Agora Hills. I also speak Spanish, so give me a call if you need some help. Llámame si necesitas ayuda.
And now I'd like to introduce you to Hannah, our wonderful care manager who leads our Caregiver Support Center. She runs caregiver support groups, offers resources and education to family caregivers in the county. You might not identify yourself as a family caregiver, but if you're helping an older adult in need, then please don't wait to reach out and give Hannah a call.
Hi, I'm Hannah. I get to spend my whole day working with family caregivers, making sure they have the information and support when needed.
And now we're getting ready to go into the heart of our day-to-day programming here at Senior Concerns, our adult daycare program. We are a licensed care facility for people that may have some cognitive or physical impairments but can still benefit and engage in therapeutic activities and socialization. And now we'll be entering our Adult Day program, where I will introduce you to Kayla, the team lead for the program.
Hi, I'm Kayla. I am a certified dementia care practitioner, and I design our activities to be person-centered and therapeutic for people with cognitive impairment. We make sure everyone who comes feels productive, engaged, and has a great time.
In our Adult Day program, we plan our activities to be therapeutic in 3 main areas: music and art therapy, brain-stimulating activities, and active games for physical fitness. Here you can see some of our active games. They're fun and engaging and a little bit competitive, while also working on hand-eye coordination and balance. We use several interns to help augment our programming, including in our day program, our meal program, and our other social service areas. We use social work, dietitian, and occupational therapies. We feel it's important to help guide them in their profession to see firsthand how special and important working with older adults is.
I hope you've enjoyed seeing a window into all the amazing things we do at Senior Concerns, and especially our Adult Day program here, and getting a chance to meet all of our amazing staff. You know, oftentimes we hear from people, gosh, I wish I knew about you when Mom and Dad were, in the middle of situations. I certainly could have used your help. So here's how you can help us. First of all, spread the word about what we do and who we are. We want to be here for the community, and we want to help people in their aging journey. So if you could help us to spread that word, that would be great. And the second thing I want to say is everything that we do here is supported by community donations. So if at any point in time you happen to be inspired to donate to a local community charity, we'd be honored with your support. Thanks again for coming on our tour, and have a great day.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that little virtual tour. It seemed like a way more engaging way to show you what we do than me just telling you about it. And we had a lot of fun putting that together. So to start off, I know many of you by this time of day have already done a lot. And so before we kind of jump into our main speakers, I want to just take a minute so that we can center ourselves and do a little relaxation exercise. And so I'm happy to introduce to do this with us this afternoon, my goodness, Donald McGraw. Donald McGraw is the MBK Fit Director for MBK Senior Living. Over the last 10 years, Donald has worked in senior living, helping to grow fitness programming for West Living and MBK Senior Living. Donald has spent years at the community level overseeing a highly successful, fun and stimulating senior fitness program at the Reserve of Thousand Oaks. Donald has a graduate degree in adapted physical activity for individuals with disability and is a certified personal trainer. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks everyone for everything you do. I'm going to just take you through a brief 5-minute movement warm-up that's really healthy for your back and your body, and most of it can be done in the chair. So let me just kind of scoot back and set myself up. Let me back up. Sorry, everyone. Bear with me. I had a day at home because I had sick kids, so I'm at home today. Okay. So, boy. Little farther back. Okay, great. All right. So everybody scoot forward in the chair. Good. We're going to put your hands on your knees. And a nice big inhale. You're going to stick your belly out, arch your lower back, and exhale, relax from there. It's an inhale, belly out, shoulders pulled down and back, and exhale. So we spend a lot of our day with a rounded lower back. So here is a nice breathing exercise where you start getting some motion into your lungs. Inhale and exhale. Inhale. Should feel like you're rocking on your pelvis. So if your pelvis was a bowl, as you inhale, the bowl would tip forward. As you exhale, the bowl would tip back. And after the next big inhale, you want to try and find the center and rest there. So your lower back is not rounded and it's not super arched, but it's right there in the middle. And from here, we're going to take our hands out. We're going to inhale, sweeping the arms up. Exhale, come down. Inhale, palms up. Exhale, down. Inhale, sweeping up. Exhale, down. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, you're going to drop a hand down, get a nice side stretch. Inhale up and exhale. So it's an inhale up, exhale over. And I'm glad this is being recorded so that hopefully everybody can have this for future reference. Inhale, exhale over. And then we're going to add some rotation. So you're going to come to one side, exhale, twist. Inhale the center, exhale, twist. Inhale the center, exhale, twist, just like that. Inhale. And now as we come over here, you're going to keep your hand here, and we're going to get that side stretch again. Good. Coming back, little twist, grab your hip or your chair, lean over. You're going to feel a little bit of a different stretch. Our goal here is to get a muscle that's called the QL, the quadratus lumborum. It connects the pelvis to the rib cage in the back, and it's a very tight muscle. So if we add a little rotation and then a side bend, you can target that muscle, just like that. Good. Now our legs are always bent. Sorry, there's my socks. So you're going to just stick a leg out straight, heel on the ground, and I want you to just hinge forward slowly come back. You kind of switch legs, leg out straight, hinge forward. Your goal is to not round. Your goal is to, with a straight back, hinge forward so that you feel a stretch in your hamstrings and your calves. Straighten out, hinge forward. Good. Breathe. Good. Sitting back tall. I want you to open up, pull the arms back, pinch the shoulder blades back, squeezing the shoulder blades down and back. And you come across, you bring an arm towards your body. Good. We open back up, bring the other arm across, pull the arm into the chest. Coming back. Every time you open up here, you really want to squeeze your shoulder blades down and back.
Showing us how to do exits.
Good. Opening up, pinch the shoulder blades back and across. Good. And if you can, you might need to lean back on the chair. You're going to grab a leg up like this. We're going to do a motion of pushing the knee down, which opens up the hip, and then pulling the knee up towards the chest. So it's a slow kind of opening, and then slow bringing the knee in towards the chest. Get some motion into your hips. Our hips take a lot of abuse. Good. And then we do the other leg, comes up. So you open up a little the hip and come in. For some of you, just getting your foot up on here is enough. And you don't even need to push down. Just getting your knee up is enough. And then pulling the knee towards the chest. Good. And we come down. I'm going to show you one more, and this one involves standing. So I'm going to turn. And the back of the chair. In here, we're going to extend out, legs straight, and drop down with straight knees. Now, some of you, of course, would not be able to go as low as me. Okay. But come in here, straight legs, dropping the chest down. This elongates the spine, stretches the arms, stretches the hamstrings and the calves, and is a really, really good stretch for your back. Just like so. And you're welcome to hang into this position as much as you like. And of course, always breathing. And there is a really safe and effective 5-minute break, warm up for your spine and your body, and we'll give you a little extra energy to get into the day.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Donald. That was wonderful.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It's a little creakier than I should have been, but I feel great
We all
now.
are. Yeah.
Thank you so much for starting us off today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, hopefully now we're stretched out and ready. I think I need to start every work day like that. That felt really good. Now, we're talking today a lot about the term respite. And so for many of you in this caregiving world, you're very familiar with that term, but some of you might not be. And really the simple definition of respite is a short period of rest or relief from something difficult. That's very simple. And I'm hoping that even just being on this Zoom today provides respite for you from your regular daily tasks. So traditionally, when we talk about respite care, when you might have heard about it, is when we think about paying for care for your loved one to give you a break. And today we're really going to think outside of the box and look at more non-traditional ways to rethink what respite might mean for you. But it doesn't mean that some of those traditional ways aren't still really important to understand what their role might be for you in your caregiving experience. So it might mean hiring a home care agency to send a caregiver into your home to help take care of your loved one. It might mean using an adult daycare program like we offer here at Senior Concerns, where you bring your loved one to us and the care is built into the program along with activities and socialization. And then they return home with you in the afternoon. Or it might mean placing your loved one into a residential facility where the care is built in as well. Selecting the type of care that you need really is a combination of factors of the type of care that your loved one requires, and also what you're able to do both physically and emotionally for your loved one. You might not use any of those traditional forms right now, but even if you don't, it's really important to know what your options are and to have a backup plan in place, because you don't want to wait for a crisis and have to figure out where to hire care. So I always recommend really taking a look and having a backup plan in place so you have an agency you're comfortable with, you have some familiarity with where you would turn if something came up. Maybe you had a medical emergency or needed to go out of town suddenly. So if you don't have a plan in place, you can call us and speak with our wonderful social worker, Hannah Hoffman, and have a care consultation where she can help you understand what those options are. And I just wanted to introduce Hannah because many of you already know her. And if you know her, you probably love her. And if you don't know her, you probably need to know her. So I just want Hannah to introduce for a moment.
All right. Hello, my name is Hannah Hoffman. I am the social worker here at Senior Concerns. My sole job and responsibility here is working with and supporting family caregivers. So I would love for you to reach out and we can discuss the situation, discuss any respite that might be available to you and any options. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. All right, now we're ready to get into some of our non-traditional forms of respite. And our first speaker I am so excited to introduce to you today is Connie Bear. And she's talking on emotional respite, which is probably something we've never heard before. Connie is a writer and speaker on caregiving and life transitions. Her latest book is called Family Caregivers, an Emotional Survival Guide. And I may or may not be quoted in it, so you should probably get it. Her most recent articles include From One Caregiver to Another, No One Knows What We Do, and New Year's Resolutions for Family Caregivers start the year with these 5 stress busters. And these articles appeared in the PBS-sponsored online magazine Next Avenue. Published in USA Today, the New York Times Magazine, Forbes, and the Boston Globe, she's also the author of The Case of the Kick-Ass Retirement, How to Make the Most of the Rest of Your Life. That's an awesome title. Connie is a Harvard MBA, an entrepreneur and award-winning lecturer, and a former Tex executive. She and her husband live in Carlsbad, where she was the caregiver to her mother for 13 years. So thank you. I turn it over to you, Connie.
Okay, so let's see, we want to share the screen here. Let's see if we don't want the whiteboard. Let's back out of this thing. Okay, we want to share the screen and let's see. I'm going to see if I can get this to come up. We'll see if this is working. Are you seeing that? You seeing the slide?
I don't see your slides yet.
Don't see the slide. Okay, of course, it was working a minute ago, but we will try it again. So let's see. I'm on share screen. Let's back out of this. Let me unshare, okay? So we'll go to the gallery. And let me try sharing the screen now. Okay, let's see this. And this. It just doesn't want to pick up this screen, but we're going to try another way.
Try one more and then we can try to share too.
Okay, yeah. Do you want to pull it up?
Anna, do you have the slides ready? Oh, there we go.
Okay, so let's see. Okay, you've got the slide. All right. Okay, and I want to continue. Let's see, I want to cancel this. Are we good?
We are good. We see the slides and you can just say next when you're ready to change slides.
We'll do it that way. Perfect. Okay, so one thing I wanted to mention as we get started is I'm going to be doing a program for Senior Concerns on May 16th about respite, and we're going to be able to do a deeper dive and talk about some of the newer research in this area. And it's going to be called How to Take a Break When You Don't Have Time to Take a Break. But today, I'd like to give you just a taste of that by taking just a few moments to focus on one particular part of caregiving, what I'm calling the visit. So whether the person you're caring for is living with you at home or in a care facility, there's that moment before you open the door. And this is about how to emotionally ground yourself, how to find a moment of calm in the midst of what is, for so many of us, the turmoil of caregiving. So to let you know where I'm coming from, I have written articles about caregiving in the book that Martha kindly mentioned, but in addition to the research that I've done for that and interviews with caregivers and counselors, I have also been in the trenches. Next slide. For 13 years, as Martha mentioned, I was the caregiver for my mom, who died recently at the age of 105. And here we are last fall. I used to visit her in the skilled nursing facility that's in this picture. And before that, for several years, I visited her in an assisted living community, and before that in her apartment, where I would, you're going to be familiar with this, bring the medicine refills, clean up dishes in the sink, take her to the doctor, get her hearing aids fixed. You know the story. Some days we would go to the library, where she loved to buy used books and come home with these terrific treasures that she had found. Many days were lovely, but to be completely frank, there were days I just didn't feel it. Maybe you have those days too. So let's quickly set the stage. Next. Especially if you're a long haul caregiver. You've been doing this day after day after day, and you never know what it's going to be like. Next. Like Forrest Gump's box of chocolates, you never know what you're going to get. This is how one long haul caregiver put it. Next. She says, as I would walk down the carpeted hallway to her apartment, I would be steeling myself. What's behind that door today? Depression, anxiety, anger, sadness, helplessness. It was like walking into a lion's den. A recent study asked caregivers to describe their experience, and the top two descriptions were stressful and exhausting. We know you're doing the best you can and that you want what's best for the person you're caring for, but you're only human. And sometimes when you're running this marathon, you get overwhelmed. You can lose touch with the loving impulses that got you here. In other words, maybe sometimes you feel that, next slide, that daily grind has ground you down. Next slide. So maybe today, whoop, let's back up. There we go. Today, you're feeling prickly as a cactus. And you just know that when you walk in your person's room, the very first thing they say, or the first thing they tell you they need, is going to trigger you. What is it now? You're going to say to yourself, why is this happening to me? And whatever you do is going to be tinged with negativity and resentment. But you've been here before, and you know that's not going to work. You have to get grounded, centered, back in touch with the good stuff. So now let's zoom in on the visit, whether it's in the bedroom in your own home or a room in a senior care community. Here's a suggestion. Next. Before you open their door, next, stop where you are. hit the pause button and take a nice, long, deep breath, like we did a few minutes ago. Next slide. Say to yourself, I'm here because it's about CARE, giving. Next slide. Compassion. C is for compassion. It literally means to suffer with. You're both going down this road together. You're here to hold their hand. You may have a great relationship with your person, or maybe it's been difficult over the years. So A is for admiration. Just for today, think about this. Next slide. Maybe you actually do admire them. Whoops, we got to back up. Maybe you actually do admire them, or at least some things about them. You're here to celebrate who they are, their strength in facing this last big trial. You're here to tell them what a good job they're doing. Next slide. R is for recognition. Some days they feel invisible. If they're able to tell you their stories and reminiscences, you're here to listen and to encourage them. And if this is now beyond them, you're here just to be present and in any way you can to recognize with them that they have led a meaningful and beautiful life. Next slide. And E is for embrace. You're here to embrace this experience for what it is teaching you, what it is allowing you to do. You're needed. You're here to lean in and embrace. It's probably a good thing. So with these thoughts in your head and in your heart, next slide. Now take another deep breath, knock on the door and say, hi, how are you today? You'll be bringing your best self to the visit. Next slide. Thank you.
I unmuted myself. Thank you so much, Connie. Wow, I've never honestly heard that definition of compassion, and I think that's really powerful. And to remember that we're on this journey together and take that deep breath. I used to work with someone who said, in this line of work, it's the closest thing to unconditional love that there is, because you're just seeing someone for who they are in this moment of their life and accepting them unconditionally. And I think that's something to remember in that moment before you open the door. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. Our next speaker, shifting gears a little, is the topic of intellectual respite. These different kind of respite ideas are ways to ease your burden, to take things from your plate and help enrich you in different ways. And we really liked the idea of including some of our local and even free resources that are right here in your own community. So our next speaker is Natasha Baran, and she is an adult services librarian at the Thousand Oaks Library. She plays a key role in the library's communications efforts and strives to enhance awareness of programs and resources for the community. She earned her master's in library science from the University of North Texas and has a background in theater arts. Natasha also serves as the committee chair for the TO Library's annual book club, One City, One Book, which is kicking off right now as we speak. So thank you so much for being with us, Natasha. Oh, you're muted or we're not hearing you. Doesn't look like you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, wonderful.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much for having me today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, can you all see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Well, hi, everyone. My name is Natasha Baran. I am an adult services librarian at the Thousand Oaks Library, and I'm so excited to talk to you today about intellectual respite and how the library can help you take a break to feed that intellectual side of yourself. Most people know about the wealth of stories available at the library, from large print to audiobooks and ebooks, but there's so much more to the story of what your library can do for you. Our goal is to inspire, inform, and engage all community members. And while I don't have time today to go over all of the things that the library offers, I wanted to highlight these 4 topics that will help you take a break when you really need one. So the 4 topics today we're going to go over are curbside pickup and our 24/7 hold lockers, our online learning tools, the library of things, and the free programs and events. The Thousand Oaks Library is now a fine-free library, so we encourage you to rediscover all that your library can offer just with your library card. So yes, fine-free, meaning if you are a few days late, we won't come after you. You can just bring the book back and it will be like it never happened. We know a lot of you are very busy and can't always come into the library. So we have 2 options to help you access books and movies and music. Our curbside pickup is available at the Grant R. Brimhall Library during open hours. After you place a hold on materials and receive a pickup notice, you'll get a call and we'll bring the materials out to you, out to your car. If you need more flexibility for accessing books and media outside of the library's open hours, we have a 24/7 locker located outside of Newbury Park Library. So anytime that you have, you can go to that locker and pick up your materials. Our libraries are committed to supporting lifelong learning and educational enrichment for all our community members. And reading is a great way to take a short break, whether you want to escape into an epic fantasy or read an uplifting biography. We have something for everybody, and we have reading recommendations as well every month on our website. And if you're looking to for opportunities to join a reading community, we have our One City, One Book program, as Martha mentioned, which is a literary event that encourages the community to read and discuss one book. And then we have programs inspired by that book, and it culminates with an author visit in April. And it's a great afternoon to hear firsthand from the author about their writing process. We also have book clubs for you. So we have the Many Voices book club, which will introduce you to different genres and different characters and authors, as well as our summer reading club. And our summer reading club is not just for kids, so adults can sign up and earn prizes all summer long, because who doesn't want a cute tote bag with this little bird on it? So that's coming up soon. Another great way that the library can help you take a break is with our online learning tools. The virtual library offers the opportunity to connect with new worlds through access to technology, to multimedia content, and educational programs. And here are a few resources that I really like. So if you are someone who likes watching like the PBS specials, you might enjoy the Great Courses. This is a collection that has over 250 courses and those topics that you see on the screen. And they're led by the world's top experts, covering a broad range of subjects that will help capture your curiosity or help you improve in areas that you are already passionate about. We also have virtual author talks that feature 2 to 3 best-selling authors each month, and those are all online. The authors range from novelists to poets to creative nonfiction writers to career advancement to professional development thought leaders. But if you are somebody who enjoys taking a break maybe with music, we also offer Medici TV, which I would describe as like a Netflix for ballet or operas or concerts. And if you are someone who really enjoys just live music, I think this would be a great opportunity. You know, you're going to have, with any of these, you're going to have the best seat in the house because you can just access it on the computer or on your phone. And you can find out more about some of these resources on our website. Sorry, there's an announcement. I'm in the library in the office today, so you get some announcements today. But there is so much more to the story of what libraries can offer. We're more than books, and we're more than just the virtual library. We have now a library of things, which means that you can, with or without a library card for some of them, but we have a new seed library. We have hotspots for internet, laptops, and coming soon we have induction cooktops and home energy saving kits. But my favorite thing that I want to tell you about is that you can now borrow a California state park pass. This is good for around 200 participating parks, and it's a free pass for your vehicle. And getting outdoors is a perfect way to connect with nature, and we're just excited to be able to offer this as a way for you to take a break when you really need one. The one thing that I want to tell you about, or just get across today, is that libraries are accessible and inclusive places that foster a sense of belonging and community through learning, discovery, and exploration. And another way that we can offer you intellectual respite is through our programs and our events. We partner with universities and local experts to bring you engaging lecture series. Last night we had the Ventura County Master Gardeners. We partner with Cal State Channel Islands and California Lutheran University for educational lectures as well. Enjoying art, we had a local art curator, and we have genealogy taught by our special collections librarian. We actually have a class tonight as well at 6 o'clock tonight. But if you're somebody who is looking to take a break in a more creative way, we have monthly recreational opportunities as well, like our crafting classes for adults only, a coloring hour, book clubs, poetry meetings, and a bi-monthly movie matinee at our library. And these events are always free, and they are a great way to meet new people and feed that intellectual side of yourself. And Martha will also be joining us later this month for a program about reminiscence. And we're really excited to have her, and we hope to see you there for that discussion. So how do you find out about all of this information? You can find out through our camera. Sorry, got some technical through the Oak Leaf events calendar and our social media as well. And if you don't have a library card, you can apply for one at tolibrary.org. You can access a lot of these online materials with a temporary card, and that temporary card will last, I think, about almost 3 years. So you don't even have to come into the library. If you want to get started on these resources, you can just go to tolibrary.org and get a temporary card and get started. So if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me, and I have my information up here, and I'll leave it with Martha, and I hope you're able to learn something new about the library and how it can help you achieve intellectual respite. So there you go. I'm going to hand it back to Martha and hopefully get my camera staying up.
Wow, thank you so much. If you just unshare your screen, that was just chock full of so much amazing information. And this is why I'm so glad that we had you, because so much is available in our own community as such a wonderful way to do something fun and enjoyable, and also just use a different part of your mind. You know, if you're busy caregiving all day, participating in a lecture or a class like that is just a wonderful opportunity. I did have a question. Some of your online resources, like the Medici TV, can people outside of Thousand Oaks access it without a Thousand Oaks library card?
anyone in California can get the Thousand Oaks Library card. So yeah, that's pretty great. So if you just sign up on the website, do that online application, it's going to give you that temporary barcode. So you're going to want to write that down, and you're also going to want to set a PIN number so you can access these online resources. Most of them will ask you for that barcode and a PIN number. And once you get that, you're all set. And if you ever have a question that maybe needs to be a little bit more in depth looked at, whether it's a laptop, iPhone, or if you just have a question on a resource, you can call us, or you can book a librarian for about a 45-minute one-on-one session as well.
That's so cool. You can book a librarian?
Yes. Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, wow. Well, thank you. Well, now there's so much available to all of you. And some of these items too, I can imagine you could do with your loved ones. Some of those online resources, you could sit at home and enjoy the ballet together.
Right.
So that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Natasha.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And I'm looking forward to speaking on reminiscence next week. So as soon as this event's done, I'll start preparing for that one. But I'm happy to be part of the One Book, One City. The book this time is Remarkably Bright Creatures. So you might want to check it out. It's very good. Now, this next segment is the social respite time. So this is where we have some breakout rooms. It's really about allowing yourself to have time to continue your social relationships. That might mean just getting together with a friend. I know I love when I see sometimes people dropping off their loved ones in our day program and then the caregivers going out together for coffee. We want to encourage you to keep up with your social, enjoyable time. It could also mean joining a caregiver support group. That's another great way to be social with a group of people going through something similar to yourself, where you can vent with each other, but also share tips and tricks and just be there to support each other while you're in your caregiving journey. So when we used to do these events in person, we kind of had that naturally at the tables. So now over Zoom, we have the wonderful breakout room option where you get to meet each other in a smaller group and actually take yourself off mute and talk and share for a couple of minutes, so that, our goal really is that you can see that you're part of this huge community of caregivers, because we certainly know that when you're in the middle of a day at home, it can feel very lonely and isolating. And this is your chance to remember that there are so many people doing this every day that you can really support each other and gain strength from that community. So what we will do next is we're going to be going into breakout rooms, and each breakout room has an assigned facilitator. So that person will introduce themselves to you and then have you all introduce yourself and have some prompting questions to get a little bit of a discussion going. We'll be in the group for 15 minutes, and then we'll come back together and have more speakers. So don't leave us, please. Even if you don't want to share in the group, you can still be a part of it and then come back to hear more speakers after. So what will happen is you'll see a prompt come up on your screen and you can click to accept the breakout room. If for some reason you're really against it, you do not have to go into the breakout room. You can wait until it's over. But I encourage you all to go into the room. You do not have to share anything you don't want to, but you'll get to be a part of a smaller group just for that 15 minutes. At the end of 15 minutes, you'll get a notice that tells you it's counting down to take you out of the group. You don't have to press anything else, people. It'll automatically bring you back here. So the only thing at the beginning is click to accept the breakout room. So if we are ready, my trusty tech person behind the scenes. Ooh, how cool, I'm seeing it. Then you will start to go into your breakout rooms. Okay, wonderful. Well, welcome back, everybody. I hope that you enjoyed getting a few minutes to talk with each other in a smaller group. I did ask our first wonderful speaker, Connie Bear, if she would be willing to share her slides, because that seemed to be a question a lot of people had, and she has offered that we may. So I will Once we get our recording up and loaded, I'll send an email to everybody that registered with the slides that we're able to share from all of our presenters, as well as the link so that you can view the recording again or share it with other people that might benefit from it. Because I know people are asking also for some of that library information as well. So I'll make sure to send that around. So now we have still 3 more ways of respite that we're going to highlight for you today. And I'm very excited. Our next speaker is another local person who's going to share some wonderful local parks and rec resources for you. This is about physical respite. So this means physically getting some exercise, getting into nature, using that as a way to take a break from your caregiving, whether it's by yourself or with your loved one. So our next speaker is Jim Friedel. Jim grew up in Agora Hills, attending public schools and graduating from Agora High School. He holds a bachelor's degree in urban planning from UC San Diego and a Juris Doctorate degree from Pepperdine University School of Law. While in law school, Jim also received a certificate in dispute resolution from the Strauss Institute. Jim was hired as an attorney for the City of Thousand Oaks in 1994. After 5 years of legal practice, he moved into public administration as a deputy city manager for the City of Thousand Oaks. In 2003, Jim was selected to be an assistant general manager for the Conejo Recreation and Park District. Upon the retirement of Tex Ward in 2006, Jim became the Park District's 3rd general manager in its 60-year history. That's amazing. So thank you, Jim, for being with us.
Well, thank you so much, Martha, and those of you still on the Zoom call. I hope you can see me fine. I eventually will share my screen, but I think I'll do that after I do a little bit of a start without the screen. The Conejo Rec and Park District, where I work, has been around, just over 60 years now. So we just celebrated our 60th, and I'm assuming that a lot of you folks are in or near the Conejo Valley. So that's kind of my targeted audience, even though you could be anywhere in the world. But the Park District is basically the city's parks department, if you're not as familiar with local government, but we're an independent special district. We serve all of the City of Thousand Oaks, as well as the neighboring unincorporated areas around Thousand Oaks. So that's basically what we are, your Park, Rec, and Open Space Agency. So I'm gonna go ahead and try sharing the screen. And let's see here. You guys now seeing it? Yes, okay, great.
Yes, sorry.
Okay, so I think I have the fun subject, take a physical environmental break. I'm a big fan of getting out and being active. And I was told that the average age of a caregiver is 77 or thereabouts, the average age. So I know that probably joining like a basketball league or flag football league or something is not the preferred thing, but there's lots of stuff that you can do short of that to stay fit and active. And we live in this area right here. So you're looking at the Santa Monica Mountains from space, and the little pointy thing off to the into the dark blue sea. It's black, but that's Point Doom, for those of you familiar with driving down to Zuma Beach on Canaan Road. So we're basically, the Conejo Valley is basically this area right here. And I just love this slide because it shows you what a gorgeous natural environment that we are in right now. And if there's any way that you can take advantage of being in it, close to it, a lot of people on the entire planet want to be in our area. So between the beaches and the mountains and the deserts, we have a lot going on. So the Conejo Valley itself, the boundaries for the Park District are basically the Ventura County side of Westlake Village, all the way over to the Camarillo grade. And so most of my energy and focus will be on stuff you can do in the Conejo Valley box, but obviously everybody's got a local park system or local park near them. So what is a great way to try to be physical with you know, the limited time that you have as a caregiver and spending so much time having to do that. You know, walking and hiking are the two easiest because you can do that right outside your front door. You know, not only do we typically have great weather, but we're a really safe community as well. And, you know, what I like to do is kind of a twofer. You're getting physical exercise, but, you know, get close to nature as well. And so that's why I advocate for maybe getting in the car and driving to your closest park that might have a lap around it. If you still are good with your own balance or interested in open space, that's even better if you can get out and do it. But there's all sorts of stuff you can do physically. The Park District is, you know, good partners with Senior Concerns, and we're right next door to the big library in town. So we have a senior center, the Global Adult Community Center, right next door to the library, and lots of this stuff happens inside the Global Adult Center. So, you know, I'm gonna just show a bunch of pretty pictures as I kind of go through, but these photos were almost all taken in the last 6 months just with my iPhone. I went to my iPhone and started making a slideshow of stuff that I've seen and done in the recent past. But why is walking and hiking so good? There's just so many good things about it. And I would urge you, if you're kind of like a skeptic about this hurts or that hurts, and it really is hard for me to get out and walk, there's so many good reasons to try to get yourself to do it. I mean, unless a doctor tells you not to walk, I would really try to get out there and do it if at all possible. Figure out a way to take just that short break, get your heart rate up just a little bit, start stretching your muscles a little bit. And so many other benefits occur when you do that, physical benefits, and then it translates into mood and spiritual benefits as well. So, you know, in the Canal Valley, we're surrounded by 15,000 acres of open space. We have 150 miles of multi-use trails. You can park alongside a pretty, you know, residential street and just in a short few steps be on some of our trails. We do have all of this stuff online where our trails are, where all the different parking lots are. But we have pretty flat areas that you can walk onto, you know, Wildwood Mesa, you know, the Rancho Potrero area out by Dos Vientos Ranch. That's got an all-weather, you know, paved, nice, great hiking spot. Again, you get to, you know, that's your backyard if you live in the Canal Valley. So that's looking up at Mount Boney, you know, by the Equestrian Center. So you have kind of a twofer. You have your physical activity that gets things going. So you could be in your living room and someone gave on my breakout call, someone gave a great tip about, you know, going on Zoom and doing some of the exercise things you can do through Zoom, right? There's tons of online resources, and you could do a yoga class or a stretching class or a chair balance class. You could do all that on Zoom and stay in your house because you might need to, right? It's hard to get out. But if you have the ability to get out and you can get into nature, you're kind of getting a twofer. You're getting your physical exercise, and then you're getting all the mental health benefits of being in nature as well. And they're tangible and measurable. And finding, you know, when you look at these slides, like hopefully there's just, you almost automatically take a big deep breath and just say, oh, you know, that was just a couple weeks ago in the Western Plateau, Western Canyons. And one of the things I like to remind people of is we are so close to the beach that it sometimes is worth taking that maybe 2 hours if you can get it. If you can take 2 hours out of your day, including the drive, just to get at our local beaches. And I particularly live in Agora still. So taking Canaan Road down to Zuma Beach takes me only 20 minutes. And if you can get to a beach before the sun comes up and start walking as the sun's coming up, I mean, I can't tell you how great you feel. And I specifically, you know, that's just Zuma Beach. I specifically put that in there because I went through being a caregiver supporter. My dad died in 2016. My mom was a caregiver for all of 2015 and 16. And as my dad got worse and things got harder on my mom, my brother and I would be at her house more and more and more until eventually we were sleeping over for weeks at a time to care for my dad. And I found personally, I'm kind of doing some of my cheat sheets, but I found getting out before dawn into nature for a half hour-long walk I just needed that. Like that was what I looked most forward to. And you don't have to drive somewhere far. All these photos of these flowers, this is just right in front of the senior center, between the library and the senior center. We have the botanic garden, the little nature garden there. There's tons of people doing laps around the Caneo Creek North every single morning. So if I had to give you my like best flat-ish hikes in Thousand Oaks and in around here, I'm going to throw out some just these names here, but hoping you guys will recognize some of the names. These are on our website. I would be happy to give you better directions or something if you want to email me. My email's at the end. But doing laps around Caneo Creek North and South. There's the Chumash Museum in Lang Ranch has a great oak grove, a paved walking path that's about a mile long. You can walk a mile in and a mile out. There's a whole access trail. It's a braille trail and flat behind the golf course. And again, the Rancho Potrero Center, I showed some photos of that. We recently completed Sapui Trails Park, and that's just got a great flat trail along a creek. And you know what? If it's really hot, it's really cold, it's really raining, laps around the Oaks Mall, great way to get some exercise. And then a lot of our parks now, we're building actually exterior kind of perimeter walking paths around the park. That's actually one of the most popular things people are asking for. So depending on where you live, go find one. And then a lot of our community and the surrounding communities are starting to build those class 1 bikeways, the bike paths. Especially if you have any mobility with the person you're taking care of. I would throw my dad in. My dad had a convertible and he would love driving the canyon roads. So he would be super sick. We'd put him in his convertible. He'd be really happy. We'd drive on the canyon roads and then, park at the beach and just sit there and look at the water for a while. Those were great times. And then some other places, if you want to kind of bump into some people, if you're looking to just chat with people, if you have a little dog, if you have a dog, go to a dog park. One of the most social places you can be. Just something about dog parks gets strangers just talking to each other. Equestrian centers, sit down and watch a kid's game that isn't even your own. Just to kind of remember what everything, all the normal stuff in life that you haven't been able to deal with because you've been working so hard as a caregiver. Gardening, those are some of my tips. Sunrises and sunsets, great part of the day. So that kind of concludes my presentation. So to get information about walks near you, go to your local city's website. Here in the Caneo Valley, you'd go to the Caneo Open Space Conservation Agency, CRPD, the Global Adult Center, some of the state and national parks. And if you're at all tech savvy, if you got a smartphone, an app, an iPhone, get a walking or hiking app like All Trails. I recommend All Trails. That's what I have, or Strava. These things are great, and you can download the trail before you even get on the trail. So it doesn't matter if you have service or not. It'll still follow your path on the trail, so you know exactly where you are. So with that, there's a sunset of our local beach here. That concludes my presentation, and hang in there. Not easy.
Thank you so much. Oh my goodness, it worked. Just looking at those photos just makes me want to take deeper breaths and relax. I really appreciate that. And I know there are so many accessible trails, so many different options that you highlighted that people can do by themselves if they can get away, or even with their loved one, and just enjoy nature together. So thank you so much. If you want to, I think you're screen sharing, right? There we go.
There we go.
Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And if possible, I'd love to share those slides as well with the group, and that way they'll have that list that you provided and your contact information as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Okay, now we've gotten physical, now we're getting financial. Our next talk sounds, it's another way that we're thinking outside of the box about what financial respite might look like for you. And our speaker today is Pete Kozak. Back in 1985, 2 months after Pete graduated from UCLA with a degree in economics, his father died suddenly from a heart attack. His father was a successful physician, and the complexity of settling his estate and structuring his mother's financial life was a huge challenge. This tragic event was to be the beginning of Pete's involvement and interest in financial planning. Overcoming the challenges of this difficult time of crisis with his mother and other family members showed Pete the value of having a trusted financial advisor and gave him a client-side perspective that he carries with him to this day. Now, Pete is a certified financial planner practitioner who greatly enjoys helping individuals and families understand, organize, and optimize their financial assets. His focus is the practical merger of financial planning and the implementation of investment portfolios, which meets clients' needs for income and growth with tax efficiency and low costs. So we welcome Pete to talk with us about sort of financial respite, ways to take some of the hopeful financial stress off of your shoulders. So thank you, Pete.
Hello, thanks everybody. Thank you, Martha. So I am a caregiver supporter now with my mom and my mother-in-law. And you can guess what part of the team I play, since the finance part is fairly straightforward for me. That's my role. So I have to say this was a challenging topic because I've never heard the word financial respite. And I think I've got some things that are going to be helpful. The best financial respite would be a rich uncle that just comes in and says, hey, here's a lump of money to help out. That doesn't happen very often, but there are some things we can do. So I'd like to share my screen if I could. All right. So my information doesn't look nearly as attractive. I'm looking at, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. It's an outline form, but let's just jump in. So there's no magic bullet, but when you're doing caregiving and you're looking at the finances, you have got to be organized. There's just no two ways about it. If you are not organized, you're going to miss dates. You're going to miss investments. You're going to miss insurance policies. You're going to miss all sorts of opportunities. So I know I'm talking to a lot of people that are in the middle of the caregiving process. It's never too late to get organized, because when somebody comes to me and says, my spouse needs care and I don't know what to do, we have to start at the beginning, which is building a balance sheet. We want to know all of the assets and we want to know all the liabilities, which would be debts, car loans, mortgages, anything that you owe money on. So that's really the first thing we need to do. The second thing we want to do is we want to understand the cash flow. Everybody's got flows coming in from somewhere. Sometimes Social Security, oftentimes Social Security, sometimes pensions, sometimes deferred compensation, 401ks, IRAs. There's a million places where the money could be coming, but we want to understand what's coming in and what's going out, because then that tells us how fast you're burning through your assets. And that's critically important to understand. So in a perfect world, we would be gathering all the assets in a checking account or savings account and paying the bills from the same account, so that we could look at those statements every month and say, okay, we had this much coming in, this much going out. We can track it. And as things change, we can anticipate those changes. So when we're dealing in a care situation, we want to have at least 12 to 18 months of the monthly cash flow set aside, not invested, sitting in a money market. The good news is money markets are paying 3 to 4% now instead of 0.25, which we've been seeing for the last 10 to 15 years. So from that reservoir of funds in the account, we're sending that out every month into the checking account to pay the bills. So that gives a respite, in a sense, because you know where things are. When you don't know where things are, when you don't know what you're going to have to sell this month to pay the bills, that is stressful. And then you're waking up first thing in the morning, looking at your phone to see what stocks are doing. You don't want to do that. If we know we have cash flow that is coming out of the portfolio, you really have to have a safe place for those funds to come from. And then you can sell stocks, put it into the money market and replenish your reservoir, but we don't want to be paying bills out of a volatile stock account. And this week has been a good example of why we don't want to do that. Stocks are down sharply. If you're invested in local regional banks, you could be down 20, 30% in those stocks. We don't want that kind of volatility. Okay, so many of you may be aware of this, but there is a group of financial planners through the Financial Planning Association that volunteer their time through Senior Concerns to do free pro bono sit downs with you. And I would encourage you, if you have any questions at all, it's free and it's not intended to build our business at all. We're volunteering because we want to give back, and I've got experience personally dealing with the caregiving. I know how stressful it is, and I don't even do it all the time, right? I'm a supporter and I step in here and there, but I know the stress. I understand the stress that you all are under. So we want to help. We want to be a resource. So sign up through Senior Concerns. They'll book a time. And like I said, it's not a sales pitch. It's real help. It's whatever you need, whatever questions you have. So I would definitely encourage you to do that. And they also have pro bono estate planning with some local estate attorneys. When you have the big pieces of the financial puzzle sort of addressed, hopefully that would give you some feeling of respite. And I know there's been a lot of other people that have talked about the practical part of caregiving. Just to share what's happening with us, my mom has dementia, pretty advanced. We couldn't have her with us. She's in memory care in San Diego. I've got a brother who's a doctor who lives a mile away. My mom used to live in Huntington Beach, and she went to the Alzheimer's Center during the day, and that was a real great help. She lived with my brother at that point. So I have a sister that's 90 minutes away. I'm 3 hours away. My brother's close by. So I provide the financial background to make sure that the bills are paid, that the income is coming in from where it should be coming in, that we've got plenty of reserves, and making sure that the care bills are paid on time. Shifting over to my mother-in-law, she lives in a different situation. She's in her own house here in Camarillo. She has 4 daughters, and they're doing all of the work themselves. So what they did is they had a written schedule, and they said, okay, here's what we're all going to do. Clear expectations about what everybody's job was when they were on duty. Make sure that she's getting her meds, the bathing, and all those things. But it was in writing. And you think, well, these are my sisters. It still makes a lot of sense to put it in writing, because there will be times when people are frustrated, they're upset, there might be a misunderstanding, and you have a document you could go back to with a calm mind and say, this is what we planned on doing, this is what everybody agreed to, and then you have a place to start the conversation without just having like an argument about he said, she said. So hopefully it doesn't come to that, but sometimes one of the sisters doesn't show up when she's supposed to, or there's a car problem and she says at the last minute that she can't come. So the other sisters have to scramble. So in the best of circumstances, there's still some challenges. All right, reverse mortgages. So this is a very interesting topic. This really applies only to people who have a house that has a lot of equity, which is a house that maybe it was bought 30, 40 years ago. The house might be paid off. So there's a lot of equity in that house, and a reverse mortgage can be a useful tool. In the past, they got sort of a bad reputation. The reverse mortgage programs that I've seen lately are much better, but they are expensive, because what you're doing is you're taking equity out of the house over time. So equity is going down, the debt is going up, and eventually the house will be sold to pay the debt. This is an estate planning issue, because if kids were planning on, oh, there's a $1.5 million house in Thousand Oaks, if there's a reverse mortgage on it, that equity is being eroded by the cash flow that's going to the person needing care. So, but it is what it is. The way we look at it, when somebody comes in with a situation like that, we say, hey, this is your money, Mr. and Mrs. Senior Citizen. You put this money away. Don't worry about your kids. Worry about taking care of yourself. Whatever's left, they're going to get. But we don't want to let the concern about the inheritance change the care situation for the parents. We want them to be focused on using all the assets they have to take care of themselves first. There's a lot of pressure sometimes from children and grandchildren not to do the reverse mortgage. And I'm not saying it's appropriate at every time, but here's a perfect scenario. You have money in the stock market that you're taking out periodically. And if you're following what I said before, you have a reservoir of money that's in a money market. So if there's gyrations in the near term, your money market is still trading at $1 a share, which is what they always trade at. So you have stability with the monthly cash flow. But from time to time, you're going to replenish that reservoir by selling something or getting dividends or what have you from the stock portfolio. But if we're in a down market like we are right now, you hate to go to the stock market and sell stocks that are down 20%. That's when a reverse mortgage could be useful, where you tap it for a few $1,000s and then you stop. When the market improves, you take it from the stock market. So you use the reverse mortgage as a backup to the regular plan, because we don't want to be selling equities when they're down 20, 30%. The reverse mortgages are complicated. You want to make sure you understand. I looked at one recently where the borrower was going to take out like $100,000 immediately. And I looked at the numbers, and that 100,000 is going to be growing at 7 or 8%. And then the interest gets added. So you're paying interest on the interest, and it compounds quickly. So I don't like the reverse mortgages if you're going to borrow a big chunk of money, unless you don't have any other option. But it is very important to work with somebody. There's counseling involved when you do a reverse mortgage to make sure you're not getting into something that you don't understand. But I like it much better for a small periodic draw instead of a giant draw at the beginning, because that is really the worst thing from the standpoint of the cost, because the interest will compound, and over time, you're going to use up a lot of the equity, if not all the equity in the house. Okay, so there are some long-term care policies that allow a family member to be paid. That would be nice. Many of us are doing, most of us are doing this care without getting paid. The family's not paying you. It's just part of being in the family. But there are some policies that do allow payment. So this is a good reason to be organized, to be able to pull open that insurance policy and read through it. And if it'll have a section that allows for compensation to family members. Sometimes there's a few things you have to do along the way, but I would definitely be looking at that. And then in reviewing just the concept of long-term care, I sort of jumped ahead there. So if your loved one bought a long-term care policy, it has a elimination period. It's the same as a deductible for your car insurance or your home insurance. It's generally 90 days. So if somebody qualifies for care, you don't get any benefits from the insurance company until you satisfy that 90-day period. Once you've been through that period, then you would start receiving checks from the long-term care insurance, or you have to submit bills and get reimbursed. We have seen before where people are frail. It looks like they really need the help, but they don't quite qualify, because you have to be unable to do not 5 or 6, 2 usually of 6 activities of daily living. So if you've heard that term before, it's pretty much the things that we do when we get up in the morning. We get out of bed, we get dressed, we use the bathroom, we feed ourselves, we get our medicines, that kind of thing. If you can't do 2 of those things, then you should qualify for coverage. We have seen people qualify for coverage but not know how to file the claim. That you got to reach out. I would go to the agent that sold the policy and say, I think I qualify, help me file a claim. The hard thing about aging is our capacity for complexity drops at the time when complexity is increasing. So we really do need people who know how to do this. I've had to go to bat for clients whose long-term care companies were giving them the runaround, and a firm phone call from somebody who's not the senior oftentimes is enough to push the insurance company forward. There's a couple of tax-related tips I tracked down. If you're working for a big company, like say Amgen, they have a bunch of employee benefits. One of them is a health savings account, HSA is the initial. The other one is a flexible spending account, FSA. So these are funds that come out of your paycheck and you put some money into them and you can use them for medical bills, all sorts of things. So if you have one of those from work, you might be able to tap it to care for a loved one. That might be something useful. There might be also a way to claim a dependent on your tax return and get a bigger deduction. You would want to check with your tax preparer. This gets a little complicated sometimes because there's different thresholds where this comes into play. And if you have high medical costs, now it has to exceed 7.5% of your gross income. So it's usually a substantial amount of cost, but I can tell you 12 months of care at Oakmont in San Diego puts my mom way, way, way into this threshold. So we're able to get a big deduction for her. This triggers some other things like a Roth conversion for a senior. I don't want to get too deep into the weeds, but just know that if you are incurring a bunch of care costs, there might be something else that you're missing that you could be doing with the other investments. So you should be asking your tax preparer, is this a good time to take advantage of any other benefits from having such a big deduction? I was able to track down a free tax prep service. And Martha, you might already have known about this, but AARP does free tax prep in Camarillo and Moore Park. They do it just in the morning, 1 day a week, and you have to call ahead of time to book it. I haven't tried this, but I was going to call. I'll call this week. I literally just found out about this yesterday. If you're paying $500 to have a tax return done, that's a very simple tax return. I would put that on pause for this year and maybe explore saving some money and having a retired CPA who still has lots of knowledge about tax, have them help you do the tax return. Again, I don't know anything about who's doing it, but I know that if AARP has them doing tax returns, they're likely, have 20, 30, 40 years of experience. And my final point is to prepare your own care plan that you will use if you get to the point where you're going to need help in the future. And we all should plan on that. Unfortunately, that's the way the circle of life goes. But it's a much different experience if somebody has a long-term care policy, if they've saved enough money, if they have their bills organized and they have their files accessible and they have their passwords available. For you to pick up that work is so much easier than a scavenger hunt through the house trying to find if there's a life insurance policy or a long-term care policy. And I can imagine many of you have had that experience where you're trying to figure out, where is everything, and you're sort of concerned that you might have missed something, because I know there's lots of people who bought policies in the past. They lose track of them. The insurance company is not going to know that your person's on claim. Now, you might get mail from them from time to time, but they're certainly not going to come looking for you. So the more we can be organized so that when you need to have care, your loved ones will know where to start, and that's going to be much better. So that's how I wind up my portion of the deal here. Not, unfortunately, no pretty pictures here.
Well, thank you. It is a lot of information, and I know we gave you a difficult topic, but I really appreciate all of the thought that you put into this. I mean, there is so much to think about, and I think the key takeaways for me are stay organized and go to the experts.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And schedule a meeting with Senior Concerns.
Absolutely.
Financial concerns.
Financial planners that volunteer with us, like Pete, that's a wonderful free resource for you. So, also I did want to mention that with the free tax prep, there's a lot of different sites, and the IRS trains these volunteers across the country. So you can go on the IRS website and actually search for one near you. And here in the Conejo Valley, we offer it through the Conejo Senior Volunteer Program. They offer it right across from the Goebel Center.
Okay,
so
perfect.
That is a great resource. Absolutely. Thank you so much. I
You're welcome.
appreciate that. I think you have to stop your screen share. Can I do that? There we go. All right, thank you. I know my father recently had a medical emergency and he does all of the finances, and we have never been so thankful for his obsessive organization, because he has lists posted at his desk of all the bills, which ones are auto pay, which ones have to be sent by check, and when they're due. And it was just really a blessing to our family. So I really encourage everybody to be organized like that, because boy, does it help. That's the last thing we need to worry about in an emergency, is making sure we don't get behind on our bills. So thank you. Now, our final speaker for today is the topic of spiritual respite. And I'm very happy to introduce Laura Ayala Clark. I know her well because she comes here to Senior Concerns every week to lead a bereavement support group through Hospice of the Conejo. She's a licensed marriage and family therapist here in Thousand Oaks. She obtained her BS from UCLA and her MS from California Lutheran University. Her professional background includes work with families, couples, and teenagers. Currently, she works with Hospice of the Conejo, facilitating bereavement support groups for seniors who have lost their spouses. So thank you so much, Laura.
Thank you. Okay, well, what a lot of information has been presented today. And I'm really excited to present this portion on spirituality, because I was talking to Martha earlier, and I think everybody has their idea of what spirituality is. So for this presentation, I'm not looking at spirituality, especially in the sense of religious orientation or tradition. Okay, so spirituality, I'll just a brief definition, but I want to read you something that to me really speaks to me as to what it is in relation to caregivers and people who find themselves in situations where there's pain, heartache, sorrow, and we don't know what to do, or we don't think we know what to do. Okay, so just generally spirituality, we're talking about inquiring into beliefs, identity, and purpose. What is our purpose here? What is our purpose in life? In the whole area of spirituality, I'll just say, rather than using, again, religious tradition, although religion can be part of it, looking at something bigger than ourselves. Let's call it our higher power, or what we believe. But for purposes for today, just let me read this to you, and I think it makes a lot of sense, okay? In the midst of hate, I found there was within me invincible love. In the midst of tears, I found there was within me an invisible smile. In the midst of chaos, I found there was within me an invincible calm. I realized through it all that in the midst of winter, I found there was within me an invincible summer. That phrase, an invincible summer, I want you to hold on to that. It says, and that makes me happy, for it says that no matter how hard the world pushes against me, within me, there's something stronger, something better pushing right back. Okay, so that's the belief systems, or our series of beliefs, whatever we believe to be true. Now, in working with this area of spirituality, to me, there is no one size fits all. We each have our own path, our own needs, our own beliefs, our own histories. I find, especially in working with my bereavement groups, and I've been working with bereavement for a long time. At the beginning, when people come in, they're distraught. They don't know what to do. They feel like they've been through the ringer and they're hanging on by a thread. But as you see them later, I'm not going to say everybody's jumping for joy, but they've learned something in the process about themselves. And that's what I believe the whole area of spirituality is. It's an internal process that we each learn about ourselves, our strengths, what we need, and the time that we take to be able to put one foot in front of the other every day. And that, what I've heard so much, and I know that from personal experience too, with family members, sometimes that's the best you can do, put one foot in front of the other and try to keep going. Now, as far as I said, it's an internal process. Basically, I think if we were to distill it all down, it's looking for meaning, connection, purpose, but restoring a sense of hope. And I don't know with everybody, when people go through, if you've lost hope, often I've heard people tell me that this wasn't what they signed up for. This wasn't the way it was supposed to be. But unfortunately, it is the way it is. And that's where we start, starting at the beginning where we are at this moment. What I like to do, and I'll be perfectly honest, I didn't do it when I was going through challenges with my mother, is to stop and look back at how I had handled other hardships in my life. What kinds of skills did I have? What did I believe to be true? Here, again, a very personal thing. Often people who have certain spiritual practices or beliefs will rely on that. And in dealing with spirituality and loss and grief, I think anything that we can hold on to, we need to. For people who don't have, say, an organized religious orientation, maybe very simply in the discussion of spirituality, it's, let's call it looking at your higher power. And I know sometimes people say looking at your higher power and you roll your eyes, but what I'm talking about is what is it outside of you that drives you? What nurtures you? What keeps you moving forward, even crawling forward? And that's what we try to tap into. So again, this process for caregivers, healers, very personal, very introspective. And that's where I believe you find out, who are you? So where do we find this meaning and connection? That's a good question. It's individual. I love Jim's discussion about being outside in nature. And even if you're sitting, as he said, in your front yard, backyard, patio, whatever, being able to get outside. Often, and as hard as it is, and especially, and I've heard it in my groups, to think, how hard is it that life goes on when I feel so awful? But it's true. You know, the sun comes up, and sometimes being able to take that respite and sit outside, even for a few moments, because I know as caregivers, often we may feel guilty that we're taking time away from what we think we should be doing. But again, if we don't hold on to those beliefs and things that nurture us or refresh us, we're not going to be able to do what we need to do. Now, also with time constraints, one of the other speakers spoke about that. As far as things to do, I know as individuals, we want to know, okay, tell me, what do I need to do? Okay, a few of those things that we need, that we might want to do, are things that we've all heard of. The practices such as yoga, Pilates, exercising, walking, being in nature, journaling, those kinds of things are pretty straightforward. But again, it's what energizes a person. One thing that I have found, also meditation. I have heard people talk about not having time to meditate or not knowing how to meditate. But you'll see even anybody who might even have an iPhone, you can find on your apps, meditations, the minutes that you need to take, even if it's minutes, because often we don't have a whole lot of time. So in finding the things that energize us, being able to take stock of the time we have and use it to our advantage. Now, one comment that I've heard in the past is, geez, this feels so selfish, that I'm thinking about myself and spirit and my beliefs, but not really, because we're part of this too. And we have value and we have needs that are going hand in hand with our loved one. So let's see, what else can I tell you about? The whole idea that that this will never end. This heartache will never end. But again, I think if we look inward and we look at what we've gone through in the past, yes, it will end. Nobody knows how it will end, but there will be an ending. So I think maybe the bottom line in spirituality is finding, okay, and what have I learned about myself in this? What do I hold on to? What do I value? What will bolster me? What will hold me up? Because I think if we all really look, and it's hard, as far as the introspection, we'll come up with some answers that will be able to push us forward. So again, the whole ideas are those practices that help us find a little bit of peace, that really encourage hope, and knowing that we'll be able to handle what we need to handle. So, just one last thing. You'll know as far as therapy, anything that makes sense to me, if there's something to read, I will read it. So please bear with me. Okay, you do not need to know precisely what is happening or exactly where it is all going. What you need is to recognize the possibilities and challenges offered by the present moment. And that's what we're talking about, the present moment, not tomorrow, not what happened, but right now, and to embrace them with courage, faith, and hope. So that's my presentation. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Laura. That was beautiful. What you read at the beginning, I need you to send me a copy of it, because
sure, that's Albert Camus.
Oh, it honestly brought tears to my eyes. It was so beautiful. I wish I could remember the words, but I didn't write them down.
Right. And the thing that I would hope everybody would remember is finding your own invincible summer.
The invincible summer.
Okay.
Yes. I think that's going to become my mantra. I'm going to hold on to that because that's really meaningful to me. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all.
And you heard it here. Laura said you have value and you have needs, and we need to recognize those. And that's what we are here for at Senior Concerns, is to pay attention to your value and your needs as the family caregiver. We did amazing on time, maybe a tad towards the end here, but I just really hope that you've enjoyed our program today and everybody that we brought together. The intent of this is to really honor you and to provide something valuable and to provide a program that is a respite to the rest of your regular day and your regular year, where we just shout our thank yous to you as family caregivers for everything that you do for your loved ones. A few things, if you have not picked up your goodie bag, we want to complete your pampering with that. So please come by Senior Concerns on Houghton Camp Road. We will hold them here until the end of next week. We still have them available for you. I did want to really just thank our amazing speakers today. We brought together a variety of people from our community to talk on these different topics and share their expertise and caring with all of us today. And I just thank each and every one of them for making this event what it is. I want to highlight a few of our upcoming programs. We have 2 fabulous seminars coming up. One of them is presented by the Alzheimer's Association, and it's Understanding Dementia, and it gives a really wonderful overview of the different types of dementia, and that will be over Zoom on Tuesday, April 18th at 3 o'clock. And then one of our speakers today, Connie Bear, mentioned that she will be coming to give a seminar called Respite, You've Got to Be Kidding Me, How to Take a Break When You Don't Have Time for a Break. So make sure to register that one over Zoom as well, which will be Tuesday, May 16th at 3 o'clock. And all of this is on our website. Under the events tab, there's a seminar section. We did record this program, and so I will send that out to all of you. I will also be sending out within the next weeks a feedback form, because we really want to hear from you about what was the most useful, what you'd like to see next year, what other programs we might be able to offer to support you as caregivers. And I also want to mention our Love Run, our annual Love Run is back in person on Sunday, June 4th. So please check that out. You can register and join a team, or you can just do it virtually and go take a walk in one of the beautiful parks that Jim shared with us today. And I want to give a special thank you to Hannah, who made all of this look so seamless. I really appreciate all of her help with this. And don't forget to reach out to her and schedule a care consultation. So this is, I would love to get more feedback, but it's 3 o'clock, but I will stay on for a few minutes if anyone wants to share. We are one community of committed and caring people, and it is truly my honor to share this day with all of you. So thank you and have a wonderful afternoon.